Guys, my name is Ankush Gaurav and I welcome you to Gone to series. In the previous tutorial, we learned about response entity concept. So what we learned overall, if you use response entity as a return type with any REST API controller method, then you are simply allowing that controller method to be able to specify response body and status within it. So after including response entity as return type and this statement in the previous tutorial, now when I'm going to make put request on this REST API with this information, I would get this response from the server with this response body and this status. Exactly what I have specified over here as first argument and second argument to this response entity constructor. And whatever I've just described in a very brief manner, I explained in detail in the previous tutorial. Now let's proceed further and try to understand in this tutorial the concept of HTTP response headers and how to send your own customized headers to the client from within this REST API controller method. So let's start. Because if we look at the overall response what server has sent to me for this request, I would find that it has sent me body, status, as well as some bunch of key value pairs under this headers tab. Now, what are these key value pairs? In general, developers call these key value pairs as HTTP response headers. So question is, what are these key value pairs and why a server has sent these key value pairs to me for this request in the response? And the answer is, these key value pairs simply describes the overall response message in a more appropriate manner. Let me explain you the importance of these key value pairs by explaining these one by one. After looking at the value of content type key, a client would be able to understand in what format response body has come to it. It's in JSON format, XML format, or in some other format. Well, by looking at it, client is sure of one thing, that response body is actually in its XML format. See, so in whatever format response body has been sent to the client, that's going to be described by this key value pair. This second key value pair simply describes at what date and timing this response was produced by the server. This third one simply talks about what kind of web server has produced this response. And this last one simply talks about what kind of encoding technique has been used to transfer this response from server to the client. So these key value pairs simply provide some extra information to the client, about the overall response and nothing more than that. Now, the point is, these are not the only HTTP headers what a server might send to the client along with the response. There are so many HTTP response headers available. Some of the important ones I've listed on the screen along with their meaning. So for this request, by default, this server has sent me these 4 key value pairs. Now in different circumstances and situations, your server may decide to include an appropriate HTTP header or headers along with the response message. Now, as an application developer, what if you want to add your own customized HTTP header along with the response from within this REST API controller method? You don't want to depend on the server to choose an appropriate HTTP header and include the same within the response message. You want to have a control over it. You want to specify a response HTTP header from within this REST API controller method. So how to achieve that? Well, that's kind of very easy to achieve, guys. All you need to do is to create an object of HTTP headers class, and then go on specifying all key value pairs what you want to send along with the response message over here. Say you want to add this key and this value. So you want to add one more key value pair in the response. Now only thing that's remaining is to pass this object reference as the second argument to the response entity constructor. That's all about it, guys. So after this change, now what's going to happen, these customized HTTP headers would also be sent by the server in the response to the client when any user is going to make a request for this REST API controller method. Let me show you. Cool. So here, in addition to these default key value pairs, server has now sent these customized HTTP headers, what we specified over here. So overall concept is, guys, when you pass only one argument to response entity constructor, it considers that argument as HTTP status to be sent to the client in the response. And when you pass two arguments, it considers first argument as response body and second as response status. And when you pass three arguments to it, it considers first as a response body, second as HTTP headers, and third one as response HTTP status. So after this change, now we are able to send our own customized response headers to the client along with the response. In the next tutorial, I would talk about how to be able to develop a REST API which demands post kind of request to be made on it. Alright, guys, a big thank you for learning REST API concepts using Spring MVC framework with me. If you have any feedback or any constructive comment, or you want me to upload a video on a very specific topic in this series, or you want me to upload a brand new series on this channel, Gone To series, do post me a comment below the video or write to me on this email ID for all of your queries. Please like this video, share this video if it has proved useful to you, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Gone To series. And I'm gonna catch you in the next part of this tutorial.